Hi, everybody. We're back today with another episode of Howie's Hometown Heroes, where we feature business owners, entrepreneurs, and community members who are doing extraordinary, amazing things right there in their own community. Today, we're in Victoria, British Columbia in Canada. That's a whole long town right there. But it's a beautiful little city in the northwestern corner of Canada. I was there like years ago. Beautiful place. And not as cold as you might think. Being like Canada, right? Now, here's my good friend Sara Troy, and Sara has a whole series of podcasts collecting or featuring people from all over the world who are doing extraordinary, amazing things in their community and in the wider world and the universe. So, and they're really awesome to listen to. You'll check them. We'll send some links later, but awesome stuff to do. But let me tell you a little about Sara. She learned at a very early age that she could sort of see things in others that maybe they didn't really even see for themselves. Like I don't want to say a lot, but many people we talk to really are proud moms and grandmothers. I can't relate to being a grandmother, but I got some grandkids too, so it's really always fun. And it's absolutely true that grandchildren are way better than the original children.
Shh, don't tell them.
I won't tell. We won't tell anybody about that. And she's got an interesting business background too. She owned some restaurants, was in the fashion industry, but it was always about customer service, serving what people want, finding out what people want, and then delivering it, whatever that kind of happened to be. And she also says she's a spiritual coach by God's design. She didn't decide it; somebody else did. So let's dig into that a little bit and find out a little more about Sara and what's going on in her world. So thanks for being here, Sara. This is going to be fun.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So let's see. So how did this all get started? You said when you were a child. How old were you when you sort of realized, there's something going on here that I think I've got some little bit of a talent for?
Well, I grew up different, but I didn't know I was different. So I was a very sickly child at the age of 2. The Asian flu went round England and I got it and ended up with asthma and eczema and in and out of hospital and spent many a week at a time in my room with the 4 walls. And in order not to go mad, I went off dimensional traveling. I even played with dead people. And yes, people, you can. They don't manifest in full body. They come with their energy. And your brain kicks in the image from that energy. And so it was something I've always done, and I've always been able to see what people are capable of, what the possibilities or what the path is that lays before them. But all I am there is to reveal what it is. It's up to them whether they walk it or whether they embrace it.
Interesting. So can you give me an example of that? Like, how old were you when all this sort of stuff happened? You said,
well, I think, as Lady Gaga would say, I was born this way. So the realization, as I said, as a baby, yes, I mean, I've just always done it. But it wasn't always welcome, because the world wasn't quite ready for it. So,
So, what kinds of things did you discover then in speaking to people from the past or people you were in front of?
To trust my knowingness, to trust the knowledge. That's why my neck was called self-discovery wisdom, because it's the discovery of what our wisdom is. And that wisdom is something that is channeled from higher sources, whatever you wish to call it, God, universe, spirit, energy, source, whatever. And it's to trust that wisdom because it resonates with the heart and truth, and it gives it to the spirit and action for the mind to know what the mind needs to know when it needs to know it. So it's trusting the knowingness. And when I was in my knowingness, I didn't need to understand what I knew. I just knew that whoever I was telling it to needed to hear it.
Did they always receive it? I don't know, because
Well,
in a
as a
way,
child,
positive, maybe.
as a
Yeah.
child, some people would look at me and go, "How do you know that? Can you repeat it?" And I go, "No." Do you understand what you've just said? No. Uh, and then they kind of know, how do you know I needed to hear that right now? So it always kind of shook people, but that was also part of it because you need to shake people out of from where they're at in order for them to receive a different perspective.
Interesting. So was it, well, I guess maybe let me ask it this way, was so when people sort of reacted or reacted to what you were telling them, how did that go over? How did they feel?
Um, it was sometimes knee jerk, but most of the time, just because it was poignant to what they needed to know, it became a shift. And that's all we're here to do is shift people out of where they're at and show them the path of possibility as to where they can go.
Wow, that's fascinating. That and so as how how old are you? Like 10, 15? I'm just trying to get a little context of
I mean,
of
I've done it all my
all my
life,
life. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all my life. So it's I'm 69, so I've been doing it for a long
A
time.
long time. Okay, okay. Very good. Um, so I'm going to lean in a little more about that then. So people would you would sell them something, um, whatever it might be, right, and they would say, "How did you know that?" Like sometimes, like either you were did they say you were like reading their mind, or how did you know that from
No,
my
like I
past? Right?
became
Let
I
me
became a
understand.
reader, a gypsy reader, because it was easier for people. I mean, I would find myself being misdirected for an appointment and be waiting in the wrong waiting room and end up speaking to someone that needed to hear something,
Uh,
only to find them in the wrong waiting room and then go off, right? So those things type of happen. But I also became a gypsy reader, which means I don't read tarot cards. I read ordinary cards and gypsy cards, and that was a tool to help me navigate the path that lay before them, to see it clearly and give them. So those people would come to me out of free will. The other stuff was just um, I was on a cruise back in 2004 and I had the book The Alchemist, and I'm in a nice little corner by a window with the sun streaming in, and there are people coming to me just for conversation, but it always ended up being consultation because
oh,
it's just the way it is. And I've learned to accept that in my life. I just have what they need to know at the time they need to know,
it's a
and they're
no.
unaware that they're even asking the question.
So so this is fascinating. Now I'm sort of starting to understand. Now, um, the, the universe conspired to put them in front of you.
Like
For
my dogs were border collies, and I kind of understand because the universe would herd them
them,
to
yeah,
me.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Right.
Wow, so that's great. And then wherever the conversation went, they were people were receptive and fascinated, probably by what you could
Yes,
tell them.
generally, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Because they were drawn to me and they didn't know they were drawn to me. And I certainly didn't send out any
any
antennas or,
vibes or
no.
yeah, like
Um,
woo, yeah.
but it's just the way it's always been. Um, and it doesn't happen all the time, it's unexpected. But it happens a lot. But it even happens on my shows in the middle of an interview.
Wow. So so it's unexpected to them because
Yes.
they're just starting a conversation. Hey, sir. Hey, we happen to be on this wherever we happen to be. How are you today? And it just evolves into something else.
Yeah.
And
Yep. And I never know
fascinating.
when, because I don't do readings anymore. I'm too busy now, but I never know when or what is going to happen. As I said, it now happens sometimes on a show.
Yeah.
I get a very clear message of what they need to know. So,
Okay.
and I share
Oh,
it. That's what I'm compelled to do. That's what
that's
I'm
what you
here
can.
to do. Right. It's
That's
not
your
for me to
mission.
keep it.
That's your.
I'm not here to keep it to myself. And, that's why I think it was when I discovered this almost 12 years ago of the world of podcasting, and I stepped into this world, I realized it was just another platform of people receiving what they need to know. But it was
Mm,
coming from other people that I'm
mm,
interviewing and the wisdom that they've acquired through their life's journey,
mhm.
because they'd all stepped not just into knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge. Anybody can accumulate knowledge, but they stepped into the wisdom of how to use that knowledge.
Knowledge.
That's the
Ah,
big difference.
to take what they already know and apply it
Yes,
to
through the
others and
wisdom of knowing what to do with that knowledge,
do with
how
that.
to use that knowledge, and whom to use it for.
Yeah, I guess they're right. There's a phrase about that, which I'm drawing a blank on.
Well,
About right.
there's the teacher will appear when the student is ready.
Oh,
There's one.
actually, I
Yes,
didn't
yeah,
think of that, but that's
yeah.
right. Exactly right. That's a great one. Great one to look at that. Yeah, when the student's ready, the teacher
Mm,
appears. Yeah, very cool. I've been in those kind of situations also, so
hmm
I can certainly kind of relate to that. Is there some example you could bring to that as a of something that came to that someone had this epiphany moment that you described, or that would make
you have to understand that I'm in the zone when I'm doing that, and I may be unaware that I am doing
it's
it.
really good.
And so, and once it's done, it's done.
It's done. Oh,
All
interesting.
right. So I don't always retain the information of what is said or what is done.
Mm,
Or I do, it's a short while, and then because it's coming through me,
mm.
I am that
Oh, you're
conduit.
that conduit, what we said before. Has anybody come back to you later on?
I've had, when I used to do readings, people have come back to me. Other people that I've interviewed, we've ended up doing more interviews where more epiphanies come
yeah.
out.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I don't keep tabs on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just, I've learned with this that there is no controlling the wind. There's harnessing it now and again to use it in a particular way, but there's no controlling it. And is that I have surrendered and allowed, and and just let it be. Let it be when it's meant to be, doing what it's meant to do.
Hmm. I guess I clearly I work with numbers and concepts and money and all those, those kind of things. And it's not always cut and dried.
Yep.
And there's sometimes there's more than one answer, or
And
we
and if you
bend
look
right.
at what is energy, it is
Yeah,
measurable in
yeah.
numbers,
It's number.
right?
Yeah,
So
exactly, exactly.
everything, even frequency, is measured in numbers. So numbers are in everything. And if a spiritual person or with a scientist with a machine to measure my energy at that time would come up with a hertz at a particular number that I'm
Okay.
resonating on. So, we incline to think because we're numbers that or that we use numbers in a particular way that we must be just analytical or dry. But no, there's a different knack to being able to see how those numbers relate in different ways because everything is numbers. Everything
Yeah,
could be measured in numbers.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I'm just, I guess I'm not to apologize. I guess we're trying to understand a little bit more about something I really don't understand a whole lot about. So I'm trying to put it into my context, but that's
Yes.
clearly that's not what I should be doing. Just have a
No,
con.
because it is
It isn't that at all.
it's a feeling.
Yeah,
Everything is a feeling, and if
feeling.
we're inclined to dismiss our feelings and dictate, how we should feel or how we should react,
Mhm,
and instead of feeling it, see, the emotions are there for a reason. You're angry, you're sad, you're this, you're
mhm.
that. Spend the emotion, acknowledge the emotion. Don't become emotional about it.
Mm. Oh, good. So, so tell me about how you started the podcast. What was the 10, 12 years ago, whenever that was?
I'll
How
be
did
12 years in April. Well, actually, what happened is that I was coming out of backing a technology, which was a quantum electric motor that was way beyond its time. And I invested everything into it. And I didn't know how the motor worked or anything. I just knew that I had to back the person doing it. And unfortunately, at first we were caught in 2008. We lost
Mhm.
our financial backing then. And then we took on some other partners that ended up taking everything and
Oh
throwing us to
no.
the curb.
Oh
So
my gosh.
they wouldn't have been able to take the technology and do anything with it because it was in the guy's brain. But I went into a depression because I'd lost everything. And
Yeah, I can imagine.
I have to be proactive when I'm like that. So I wrote an article and I was reigniting the work that I did, which is I'm a true colors coach. So those 4 key personality traits and how to understand the human trait as opposed to in collaboration with the spiritual traits as well. And this person saw my article and went to my site and said, would you like to be on my podcast network? And I went, what's that?
What's the,
Hadn't ever heard of a podcast
interesting.
before. And I went on her network for 13 months and got the bug. And it was live. So it was a great training ground. I call it soap opera training ground because
Yeah.
whatever can go wrong went wrong, right?
Yeah, good.
And then I started my own network and I didn't know what I was doing there either. But, I kind of feel like sometimes I'm doing things by braille. I'm feeling my way along the way. And it's now 10 and a half years with my own network with over 3,400 shows up here.
Yeah.
And I had other hosts for a while. They kind of dropped by the way during COVID, and I've taken different directions now. So I'm into podcast books, mentorship programs, educational platforms, and things like that. So slightly taken a different route as well as podcasting.
So would you say that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, sure, but that those experiences, created where you are now, right? Exactly.
Absolutely.
So there's that
Yeah.
energy coming along, and
Yeah.
when you didn't want anything, you just wanted your money back, maybe, or whatever. But here's a whole new direction, right?
Well, I don't believe in failures. I believe failures when you give up and you give in.
Yeah.
Landing on your ass millions of times is just a redirect. Get up and try a different way, right?
Yeah.
And I'm one of these people about always moving forward, and I don't know what I can do or not do until I try doing it.
Yeah.
And so I'll give it a try. And as I said, I got the bug because I was getting to meet such extraordinary people doing wonderful things in the world. And I thought, people need to know about this. People need to hear more of this. Or we're getting, I call it the Fox News and the CNN approach, where they take a pimple and make it into a volcanic eruption.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like we needed real news from real people that had real experiences and that are out there in reality helping other people navigate through their own challenges and struggles through life. These are the people that are going to change the world. They've gone through the dark nights of the day. They've stepped out into the light, and they are now the solutioners. And so it became my mission to make sure I give them a platform so that they can get out and share those solutions that others need.
Yeah, that's really great. That we often say in my world a little bit that things don't happen to you; they happen for you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
So you experience that part. I like the title of your thing, it's hard for me, orchard of wisdom. So I'm picturing apple trees and peach trees and all that kind of stuff.
There was a reason I chose that.
That's why I want to know.
Yeah. Well, actually, the podcasts are called Self-Discovery Wisdom. Because that's stepping into self-discovery of what is your wisdom, opening up your channel. But the Orchard of Wisdom is where we do the podcast books. And so I have coming out in the new year an anthology book called Our Forgotten Children series, where each person has contributed a chapter on how we're letting our children down, how we need to invest more time in families and children. Our dysfunctional adult society stems back from the childhood, and we need to change the way we raise our children. So this is book one in the series, and this will be out. It's a love book to our children, comes out in February, but it's also a fundraiser because each person has an organization they support. So the money that's raised from it goes to each one of the authors' organization. And there will be more books like this. The book after that will actually be on business coaches, which is not a fundraiser. That is more of a paid platform. But there's a whole platform the way I do this. There'll be summits, meet the authors, and then there's author question period, where there'll be a summit where you come in and speak to the author about their chapter and ask them questions. And I also have the mentorship directory. So people have shared their why story, and then they share their business story and what their platform is, and that's the mentors directory. So you can find them easier because obviously with over 3,000 shows, even though I've broken them up into 19 genres, if you want to pinpoint somebody, it's quicker to pinpoint them under the mentorship. So the Orchard of Wisdom is where that kind of business is done. I have my own book coming out later this week, and so that's how that's evolved. And so the educational platform will be in the future also taking not just authors, but people we've interviewed into more question period, kind of going deeper into the questions that people have after they've listened to a podcast. But the Orchard of Wisdom is that platform. The Self-Discovery of Wisdom is purely the podcast that also supports the Orchard of Wisdom.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like a million moving parts here,
Yes.
for stuff.
Well, and the reason for the tree is that we're all the tree of life.
Yeah.
Right. And, the wisdom coming from that tree of life. And, it's the best wisdom coming from the people that have really secured their roots. Their trunk is nice and strong, but their branches are flexible and they can weather any storm. And they're constantly growing and constantly bearing fruit for others to pick. So that's the reason why it went with the Orchard of Wisdom.
There you go. That's a great metaphor for kind of the stuff that you're doing. And we'll certainly put some links and all kinds of stuff in the comments and get everybody out there so they can watch some of the other stuff. Is there anything that in particular that you would like us to know moving forward?
We are absolutely beautifully flawsome people. And we've all got flaws. That's what makes us unique. It's those wonderful lessons that we've had that have caused cracks along the way. But we can fill those cracks with wisdom, and which makes us flawsome. And in that awesomeness that we can be that bright light for others. Don't be afraid to take your journey. You are strong enough. You are courageous enough. You have the abilities. Listen, learn, and apply. And you too will be able to step into your light and be that light for others.
Yeah, there you go. What a great way to kind of tie it all up, that everybody has their uniqueness and don't hold it in.
Don't hold it in. It's meant to be, like the wind, set free, like the waters. When we stand still, we ferment. That's when the mosquitoes come. We're meant to be in flow. Blood's in flow, energy's in flow, oxygen's in flow, be in flow.
There you go. And just keep moving. I like that.
Keep moving. And if one door closes, that just means a window or another door's open. Have your little tantrum and your little cry of the grief, and then turn around.
Okay.
Right? Allow the universe to show you the path. Do not dictate. Right? Do not dictate how you want it to be. You can paint a picture of how you want to feel. This is where people go wrong with manifesting. They dictate what they want, and that's coming from the mind. When they show the universe how they want to feel, the universe will give them what it is that's going to make them feel that way.
Ooh, that's certainly a different approach for sure. Because we hear people making like a vision board and take pictures and all that stuff. It's not the picture. Nope. It's how you feel in the picture.
Exactly. That's what the universe picks up, the feeling. And whatever thought you put out there, I don't want this. That's what the universe will give you, because it doesn't hear the I don't. Right? It just, so if you want to send out a feeling, I'd like to accomplish this and I want to feel this good about it. And I want to feel good about helping other people on their journey. I want, that type of feeling in my life. The universe will show us what it is, the instrument, like it showed me this. It showed me this. And if you told me that I was going to be doing podcasts, and because the first show I did, I pressed all the wrong buttons and it was live. Here I do all my own editing. I'm in video. I'm about to go on Roku TV. I do everything. And I never would have believed I could. But the universe said, you want a channel to do this? I'm going to give you a channel to do this. And you will learn how to do it.
And you know what? I love speaking to people about all kinds of things. And I can usually keep a conversation going. Everything you're saying is like I got to think about this a little bit. Right. So, all right. So this has really been awesome, Sarah. I really appreciate you kind of being on the show. And anybody who's out there who would like to have a further conversation with Sarah or learn a little more about her orchard and all the podcasts and all the other things we do, contact us. We'll get, we'll make it happen one way or another. So just remember, so whether it's your business, your personal life, or your passionate organization or whatever, it's money that make those gears keep turning. Make sure your money is working for you in the most optimal way it can. So thanks for being here, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, love.